John Deere's combine sales in the US and Canada dropped 29% in 2025, a single-year collapse confirmed in the company's own numbers. Put a dollar figure on that, and it's uglier. Deere's full-year net income fell from $7.1 billion in fiscal 2024 to just over $5 billion in fiscal 2025, more than $2 billion gone in a single year. Earnings per share dropped from $25.62 to $18.50, over $7 a share wiped out. That same year, Claas didn't just build more combines at its Omaha, Nebraska plant. It went straight after Deere's own dealers, by name, in territory Deere has considered guaranteed for generations. In 2026, Claas opened full-service locations in Atlantic, Iowa, and Mitchell, South Dakota. The Atlantic location absorbed customers who used to buy from Ziegler Ag. Mitchell picked up territory that used to belong to Butler Machinery. That's not a new dealership hoping farmers wander in off the road. That's Claas walking into markets with an existing, trusted local relationship and pulling customers out of it on purpose, county by county. On top of that, CLAS announced plans for grower support in the Aberdeen, South Dakota area and build out a new regional parts hub for Northwest Minnesota, aimed squarely at cutting the wait time when a machine goes down mid-harvest, which is exactly the moment a slow parts delivery costs a farmer real bushels and real money. Then came the moment that should genuinely worry Deere's board. In May 2026, Nebraska's governor signed two pieces of agricultural legislation into law, standing inside CLAS's Omaha facility, surrounded by state senators. He chose a German company's factory as the backdrop for state law, in a state where John Deere is practically part of the culture, printed on caps and belt buckles across the entire Corn Belt. Not a Deere plant. Not Deere's headquarters. Claas's building. Think about how that photo lands in Moline, in the same year Deere is closing plants and cutting production. That single image does something 100 press releases couldn't. It tells every farmer, every dealer, and every state official watching that Claas isn't a fringe alternative anymore. It's a company important enough to a state's economy that the governor wants to be photographed inside it. So why is this actually working? 3 reasons, and they stack on top of each other. Fuel is the first. Farmers running both machines side by side consistently report the Lexion burning less diesel per acre than a comparable Deere S-Series. One farmer who ran both combines back-to-back across the same wheat, canola, and Timothy fields for a full season logged the Lexion averaging around 1 gallon of fuel per acre against roughly 1.4 gallons for the Deere on the same ground in the same conditions. Run that 14 hours a day through harvest and the gap adds up fast. Season after season, multiplied across every acre a large operation covers. Grain loss is the second. Less grain falls out the back of the Lexion in side-by-side field comparisons. The threshing system handles a wider range of crop types without constant recalibration, where some Deere operators describe their machines as finicky to set correctly outside the crop it's strongest at. Most farmers never run a combine at its perfect setting all season. They run it at whatever gets them through the day without stopping. A machine that's more forgiving when it's not perfectly dialed in simply makes more money in the real world. Build quality is the third, and it's the one Deere brought on itself. Longtime Deere owners, guys who bought green for 30 years without a second thought, have started noticing components sourced overseas and a general drop in fit and finish. Some point to specific complaints, like windshields coming loose during harvest because of cheap adhesive used in service repairs, or dealers themselves reluctant to push certain models over emissions, design, and fire risk. That's not coming from a Claas ad. That's coming from Deere's own most loyal customers, in farmer forums and equipment groups where nobody's getting paid to say it, from people who still own multiple Deere machines and would rather not be having this conversation at all. Put those 3 reasons together, fuel, grain loss, and build quality, and you don't get one dramatic moment where a farmer switches brands. You get a slow accumulation of small ones, the kind that don't show up on any single spec sheet. Before we continue, if you don't want to lose thousands of dollars on your tractor, check the link under this video or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to it. At hour 12 of a harvest day, with rain coming in 2 days and half the field still standing, which machine do you want under you? The one burning more fuel and leaving more grain on the ground? Or the one a sitting governor just used as a backdrop to sign farm legislation into law? There's a reason Claas timed its biggest product push for exactly this moment too. In March 2026, at Commodity Classic in San Antonio, the same event where Deere showed off updates to its own X9 and S7 lineups, Claas introduced the Lexion 8500, an entry-level wide-body model built specifically to compete on price at the exact tier where Deere sells the most machines. Claas didn't just outspend Deere on facilities, it launched a product aimed directly at Deere's highest volume price point at the same trade show. That's a competitor that's done its homework on exactly where Deere is weakest, and timed the launch to land the same week farmers were already asking hard questions about their next purchase. Now the numbers, because a farmer's gut feeling is one thing, and a balance sheet is another. And right now, both are telling the same story about who's winning this fight and who's losing it. That 29% drop wasn't a one-year accident. Deere's overall equipment sales fell 16% in 2024 and another 12% in 2025. 2 straight years shrinking back-to-back, heading into a 2026 that analysts expected to get worse before it got better. And in the very first quarter of fiscal 2025 alone, net income dropped by roughly $450 million compared to the same quarter a year earlier. That's the company's own numbers in the filings shareholders actually read, admitting the slide quarter after quarter, in real dollars leaving the business. Average selling prices for combines actually rose industry-wide in 2025, even as Deere's volume collapsed, which tells you exactly what happened. Farmers didn't disappear from the market. They bought fewer machines and thought harder about which brand deserved the money, and that's exactly the environment where a genuine fuel and grain loss advantage starts winning sales one farm at a time. While Deere managed bloated dealer inventory and cut production, Claas broke ground on a 44,000 square foot research center on its Omaha campus, opened a new customer experience center, and expanded into 3 new dealer territories. Same industry, same downturn, opposite bets. One company was pulling back, the other was spending like it already knew exactly where the market was heading. Claas Group's own leadership has framed the U.S. push as a long-term commitment, not a one-year marketing sprint. The company's North American headquarters has now run for more than a quarter century, and every recent announcement, the R&D Center, the Customer Experience Center, the new dealer territory, points toward doubling down rather than testing the water. Compare that posture to Deere, which spent the same period explaining to investors why large ag demand across the U.S. and Canada was expected to keep falling through the rest of 2026. One company is talking about growth targets, the other is talking about managing a decline. And it's not just farmers weighing this. Every dealer who used to carry an exclusive Deere lineup is watching what happened to Ziegler Ag and Butler Machinery and asking the same question. If Claas can walk into an established territory and pull customers away with a better fuel number and a faster parts hub, what happens to a dealership that stays loyal to a brand, losing 29% of its unit sales in a single year? They make money on foot traffic and service revenue, and right now more of that traffic is walking toward the sea green side of the lot. A dealership owner watching that trend has to start thinking about which brand actually pays the bills 5 years from now, not which one his father sold. And that's the quiet part of this story that doesn't make it into a headline. Dealer contracts don't run forever. When one comes up for renewal in a territory where CLS has already proven it can pull customers away, the dealership itself becomes a business decision, not a family tradition. Now let's be fair, because the full picture matters more than the outrage, and Deere's overall position is still stronger than any single quarter suggests. Deere isn't collapsing. It still controls roughly 60% of the entire U.S. large equipment market. That's a commanding position built over generations. And Claas isn't close to replacing Deere as the default choice for most row crop operations in this country. This is a deep crack in one specific category at the exact moment Deere can least afford it, not a company falling apart. Deere also has a real defense, the Operations Center, a closed digital ecosystem that keeps a farmer's mapped acres, yield data, and prescription files locked inside Deere's own software. Every season a farmer stays in that system, switching brands gets a little more disruptive, a little more expensive to walk away from. That friction has kept plenty of frustrated farmers in the fold, even while they grumble about fuel burn and quietly compare notes with neighbors who made the switch already. But a closed ecosystem only works as a moat while people still want to be inside the walls. The moment that stops being true, it's not a moat anymore. It's picture the actual decision happening on a farm right now, because the numbers and the ceremonies only tell half the story. A row crop operator in Nebraska or Iowa is weighing a Deere dealer he's used for decades against a CLAS facility that's now a fixture in his own state, a lower fuel bill, a better grain loss number, and quiet complaints from his neighbors about Deere's build quality. He's not making one dramatic announcement about switching brands. He's just noticing, season after season, that never felt like one big decision at all, just a series of small ones that quietly pointed the same direction. This isn't an abstract business story either. For the farmer actually living it, a combine purchase is one of the biggest financial decisions he'll make in a given decade, right up there with land itself. Getting it wrong doesn't just mean a worse spec sheet. It means more diesel burned every single harvest, more grain left in the field instead of the bin, and more downtime waiting on a part when the weather window is closing. That's why the fuel number, the grain loss number, and the build quality complaints all matter more than any press release or ribbon-cutting ceremony. They're the numbers that actually show up on his bank statement in October. So, is John Deere in big trouble? In combines specifically, yes. In a way it can't talk its way out of on the next earnings call with a phrase about the bottom of the cycle. A 29% drop in its own backyard against a competitor building a research center, launching a targeted new product, and hosting legislative ceremonies in the same year is real ground. But Deere is still the biggest player in American agriculture. With a brand and a dealer network, Claas can't replicate overnight. No matter how many ribbons get cut on new buildings, or how many products get timed to land at the right trade show, every previous downturn Deere has survived eventually turned around because commodity prices recover and farmers replace aging fleets the way they always have. That part of the cycle isn't broken. What's different this time is that a competitor with real local roots is picking off dealer territory one county at a time, with a governor cutting ribbons on it and farmers openly comparing fuel bills in public forums where anyone can read them. When the next upcycle hits and farmers start buying combines again, does that farmer drive back onto the Deere lot out of habit, the way his father and his grandfather always did, without a second thought? Or does he drive past it straight to the Claas dealer that used to be a Ziegler Ag or a Butler Machinery, because habit finally stopped being enough of a reason? Right now, county by county, dealership by dealership, that answer is going Claas's way, and the 29% sitting in Deere's own filings is the proof.